I'm Claire, 32, sitting in my Manhattan apartment, the city humming outside my window. Tonight, I'm lost in my late mother's scrapbook, its pages brittle and yellowed. A faded article catches my eye about Richard Nixon's daughters, Tricia and Julie. Their poised smiles hide something await I can't name. Mom, a journalist back then, scribbled a note. The sisters carried more than their father's name. What did she mean? What scars did Watergate leave on them? Have you ever wondered what happens to those caught in a scandal's shadow? Subscribe and share where you're watching from. Let's uncover their story together. The scrapbook lies open on my kitchen table, its pages heavy with secrets. I'm Claire, still 32. And tonight, I'm diving into Mom's old journal tucked inside, like a hidden confession. The ink is faded, but her words pull me back to 1974, to a Washington ballroom glittering with chandeliers. She was there, notepad in hand, watching Tricia and Julie Nixon navigate a Nixon Foundation gala. Her entry describes Tricia, 28, in a navy dress, her posture rigid like she was holding her breath. Julie, 26, laughed too loudly, her eyes darting to the reporters, circling like vultures. Mom wrote, "They're playing their parts, but something's off. I can feel it." I trace her handwriting, my coffee growing cold. Mom always had a knack for spotting cracks in people's facades. She noted a moment when Tricia excused herself to a balcony, her face tight, while Julie stayed inside, defending their father's legacy to a skeptical donor. Mom overheard Julie whisper to an aide, "He needs us to keep this alive." I wonder if Tricia agreed. The journal doesn't say, and that silence gnaws at me. What was Mom seeing that she couldn't write down? I flipped to another entry dated a week later. Mom describes a phone call she wasn't meant to hear. Tricia's voice, sharp through a cracked door at the event's coat room. "We can't keep pretending everything's fine," she said. Julie's response was muffled, but Mom caught one word: duty. It's such a heavy word, and I can't help but think of my own family, the things we've buried under obligation. Mom never published these notes. Was she protecting the sisters? Or herself? My phone sits beside me, and I hesitate before dialing Natalie, my cousin. She's 40, works in historical archives, and spent years at the Nixon Library in the 90s. If anyone knows why Mom kept these journals private, it's her. We haven't spoken in months, not since our last awkward Thanksgiving, where her clipped tone made it clear she's still angry about something tied to Mom. I take a breath and call. She picks up on the third ring. "Claire, what's this about?" Her voice is guarded like she's bracing for a fight. I tell her about the journal, the Nixon sisters' mom's cryptic observations. I'm hoping she'll fill in the blanks, maybe share a memory from her time at the library. Instead, she sighs long and tired. "Why are you digging into this? Some stories are better left alone." Her words sting like a door slammed shut. I press harder, asking if she ever heard about Tricia and Julie's relationship, if Mom ever mentioned them. Natalie cuts me off. "Mom was always chasing headlines, Claire. She didn't care who got hurt." I freeze, my grip tightening on the phone. "That's not true," I say, but my voice wavers. Natalie doesn't budge. "Let it go," she says, and hangs up. I sit there, staring at the journal, my chest tight. Natalie's dismissal feels like a betrayal, but worse, it makes me question Mom. Did she see the sisters as a story, not people? I turn back to her words, searching for answers. She wrote about Julie's fierce loyalty, how she'd repeat Nixon's talking points like a mantra, but her hands trembled. Tricia, meanwhile, seemed to shrink from the spotlight, her smile a mask. Mom circled one line in red ink. "They're pulling apart, and no one sees it." I closed the journal, my thoughts spiraling. The sisters' tension, Natalie's anger, Mom's silence. It's all connected somehow. I need to know why Mom kept this hidden and what Natalie's holding back. My laptop pings, breaking the silence. An email from Ellen. Mom's old editor pops up. I posted a vague question about the Nixon sisters on a history forum last night, and somehow she found it. Her message is short but heavy. Claire, your mother saw things about those girls no one else did. Meet me tomorrow. I can tell you what she couldn't publish. My heart races, but there's a knot in my stomach. Ellen's words promise answers, but they also scare me. What did Mom uncover that was too dangerous to share? And why does Natalie want me to stop looking? The next morning, I'm at a corner coffee shop in Manhattan, the kind with chipped mugs and too loud jazz. Ellen's email kept me up half the night, her words looping in my head, what Mom couldn't publish. I'm Claire, still 32, and my nerves are frayed as I wait for her. The journal's in my bag, its weight pulling at me. I keep thinking about Tricia and Julie, their strained faces in Mom's notes, and Natalie's sharp warning. What am I about to uncover? Ellen arrives, her silver hair pulled back, her eyes sharp despite her 78 years. She slides into the booth, her hands steady as she sets down a manila envelope. Your mother was fearless, Claire, she says, but her voice carries a caution. She hands me the envelope stuffed with typed pages, some edges curled from time. These are her drafts, never printed. I wanted you to see them first. I open it, my fingers clumsy. The top page is dated August 1974, just after Nixon's resignation. Mom wrote about a quiet moment at a press conference, one she wasn't supposed to witness. Julie was there alone, practicing a speech in an empty room. Her voice cracked as she rehearsed lines about her father's honor, and Mom saw her pause, press her hands to her face, and whisper, I can't keep doing this. Mom didn't approach her, just watched her pen frozen. She wrote Julie's carrying a burden too big for one person. My throat tightens. I can picture Julie, 26, her shoulders hunched, trying to hold up a legacy that was crumbling. I glance at Ellen, who's watching me closely. Why didn't Mom publish this? I ask. Ellen leans back, her expression softening. Your mother knew the cost of exposing private pain. She saw Julie as a daughter, not a headline. But there's more. She points to another page, this one about Tricia. It's from a different event, a charity dinner, in September 1974. Mom described Tricia slipping away from the crowd, standing alone in a garden, her silk scarf fluttering in the evening breeze. A waiter, someone Mom knew from covering events, told her Tricia had been out there for an hour, staring at the stars, her eyes wet. He overheard her murmur, Julie doesn't understand. I just want to be free. Mom's notes end abruptly, like she couldn't bear to write more. I sit back, the coffee shop noise fading. Tricia's words hit me hard, their quiet desperation echoing my own fights with Natalie. Freedom feels so far away when family ties pull you in opposite directions. I ask Ellen if Mom ever talked to the sisters directly. She shakes her head. Your mother kept her distance, but she felt their struggle. She was working on a bigger story about how Watergate broke more than Nixon's career. It broke his daughters, too. The envelope holds one last surprise, a letter from Mom to Ellen, dated 1975. I unfold it, my hands trembling. Mom's handwriting is neat, deliberate. Ellen, I can't publish this, she wrote. The sisters are tearing apart, and I won't add to their pain. But I can't stop thinking about them. Tricia's hiding, Julie's fighting, and neither will win. I read it twice, my chest aching. Mom saw their rift so clearly, but she chose silence. Why Ellen touches my arm. Your mother carried that guilt, Claire. She wanted to tell their story, but not at their expense. I nod, but my mind's racing. Guilt. It's the same weight I feel when I think of Natalie, our fractured family, the things we don't say. I ask Ellen if she knows why Natalie's so angry about Mom's work. Her face tightens. That's a story for your cousin to tell. But be careful. Some truths cut deep. I leave the coffee shop, the envelope tucked under my arm, my thoughts a tangle. Tricia and Julie's pain feels so real now, their private struggles spilling out from Mom's pages. But Natalie's silence looms larger, her accusation that Mom chased headlines stinging more than ever. I'm closer to answers, but each step feels heavier. The sisters divide. Mom's secrecy, my family's wounds, they're all tied together. I need to know how, even if it hurts. I'm Claire, still 32, clutching the manila envelope as I walk back to my apartment, the Manhattan streets buzzing around me. Ellen's words echo. Some truths cut deep. The air feels heavier now, like the weight of Mom's unpublished drafts is pulling me under. Back home, I spread the pages across my dining table, each one a shard of Tricia and Julie's fractured bond. Mom's notes from 1976 paint a picture I can't shake, and the deeper I go, the more it hurts. One draft describes a Nixon Foundation meeting in New York spring of 1976. Tricia, 30, had moved to Manhattan, her life quieter after her son Christopher was born. Mom was there covering the event for a small paper. She wrote about Tricia's absence from the main stage, how she lingered in the back, her eyes fixed on the floor. Julie, 28, took the podium, her voice steady, as she announced plans to digitize their father's archives. The crowd applauded, but Mom noticed Tricia slip out early, her face unreadable. Later, Mom overheard a staffer say Tricia had refused to speak, telling Julie over the phone, "I won't parade his mistakes for you." My stomach twists. Tricia's words feel like a slap, not just to Julie, but to the idea of family unity. I can imagine Julie's face, her jaw tight, her hands clenched as she tried to keep the Foundation's mission alive. Mom's notes don't say what Julie replied, but they describe her pacing the hallway after muttering to herself, "He's still our father." I need her to see that. The raw need in those words makes my chest ache. Julie was fighting for something Tricia couldn't or wouldn't carry. I flipped to another page, this one a rough draft Mom never polished. She wrote about a conversation with Marcus, a Foundation volunteer in his 50s, loyal to Nixon through every scandal. Over coffee after the meeting, Marcus told her about Tricia's private moment in the Foundation's office. She'd been sorting old photos, her hands shaking, when a picture of her father at Camp David fell out. Marcus said she stared at it, tears streaming, and whispered, "You left us to clean this up." He didn't know what to say, just stood there, his loyalty to Nixon warring with his pity for her. I pushed the page away, my eyes burning. Tricia's pain feels so raw, like she was drowning in her father's shadow. I think of Julie out front defending him, and how that must have felt like a betrayal to Tricia. Their divide was growing, and Mom saw it all. But why didn't she tell me? Why hide this from her own daughter? My phone buzzes, snapping me out of it. It's a text from Natalie, short and cold. "Stop digging, Claire. You're making it worse." I stare at the screen, my pulse racing. Worse for who I want to call her, demand answers, but my hands are shaking too much. Instead, I grab another draft, desperate for something to ground me. This one's different, a letter Mom wrote to Ellen but never sent. It's dated July 1976, and the first line stops me cold. "Ellen, I'm losing my nerve. The sisters are breaking, and I can't watch anymore." Mom's words hit like a punch. She describes following Julie to a small fundraiser in D.C., watching her charm donors with practiced ease. But after in the parking lot, Julie sat in her car, her head against the steering wheel alone. Mom wanted to knock on the window to ask if she was okay, but she didn't. She wrote Julie's fighting a war she can't win, and Tricia's already surrendered. "I'm scared for them, Ellen, and for myself." I slammed the letter down, my breath short. Mom wasn't just a journalist. She was haunted by what she saw. But there's something else in her words, a hint of her own life bleeding through. I think of Natalie's text, her anger, and a new fear creeps in. Did Mom's obsession with the Nixons cost her something with her own family? With Aunt Linda? Natalie's mom. The thought makes my skin prickle. I need to know what happened, but the truth feels like a blade sharp and close. I'm Claire, 32, sitting frozen at my table. Mom's letter to Ellen trembling in my hands. The apartment's quiet, but my thoughts are screaming. Her fear for the Nixon sisters, her own unraveling. It's all too much. I shove the letter aside and grab my phone. Natalie's text still glaring. Stop digging. My fingers hover over her number, but I can't call. Not yet. Instead, I pull out more of Mom's drafts, hoping for clarity, but each page tightens the knot in my chest. One note scribbled in 1977 catches me off guard. Mom was at a Manhattan bookstore event where Julie spoke about her father's memoirs. Julie, 29, stood tall, her voice polished, but Mom noticed her hands gripping the podium, knuckles white. A woman in the crowd asked about Tricia's absence, and Julie's smile faltered. She's busy with her family, Julie said, but her tone was clipped like she was swallowing something bitter. Mom wrote Julie's lying to herself. Tricia's not just busy, she's gone. Gone. The word lands like a stone. I picture Tricia, 31, in her Manhattan apartment, maybe like mine, shutting out the world. Did she feel abandoned by Julie's relentless defense of their father? I flipped to another page. Mom's handwriting messier now. She described a phone call she overheard at the bookstore Julie on a payphone, her voice low but sharp. You can't keep ignoring me, Tricia. We're in this together. There was a long pause, then Julie hung up her face, pale. Mom didn't hear Tricia's reply, but she noted Julie's fighting for a bond that's already broken. My breath catches. The image of Julie alone at that payphone, her hope crumbling, is almost too much. I think of Natalie, her refusal to talk, and the parallel stings. Family shouldn't feel this heavy, but it does. I dig deeper, pulling out a typed draft from 1978. Mom had tracked down Marcus again, the Nixon volunteer, at a D.C. bar. He was grayer now, his loyalty to Nixon fading. Over a beer, he told Mom about a foundation board meeting where Julie proposed a new exhibit on Nixon's foreign policy. Tricia, joining by phone, cut her off mid-sentence. It's too soon, she said, her voice cold. People still hate him. Marcus said. Julie's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't argue. She just nodded and moved on. I leaned back, my head throbbing. Julie's tears. Tricia's distance, it's a slow bleed of their sisterhood. Mom saw it all, but her silence feels like a betrayal now. Why didn't she tell me? I grabbed my phone again, this time texting Natalie. We need to talk about Mom and Aunt Linda. What aren't you telling me? I hit, send my heart pounding, but she doesn't reply. The silence is deafening, and it fuels a new anger, not just at her, but at Mom. I find one last draft, this one from 1979, and it's like a knife. Mom wrote about a chance encounter with Aunt Linda, Natalie's mom, at a journalism conference. Linda, 65 now, but younger then, was furious. She'd read one of Mom's published pieces, a vague column about political families under pressure. Linda cornered, her voice shaking. You're using those girls to make a name for yourself, she said. You're no better than the vultures who ruined them. Mom tried to explain, but Linda walked away, leaving Mom shaken. She wrote, Linda's right. I'm part of the problem, but I can't stop. I dropped the page, my eyes stinging. Linda's words echo Natalie's accusation, and the truth hits hard. Mom's work on the Nixons drove a wedge between her and her sister, just like Watergate tore Tricia and Julie apart. I feel sick, caught between loyalty to Mom and the growing sense she crossed a line. My phone stays silent. Natalie's absence, a fresh wound. The sister's pain, Mom's guilt, my family's fracture. It's all crashing down, and I don't know how to stop it. I'm drowning in their stories, and the worst part is, I can't look away. I'm Claire, 32, alone in my Manhattan apartment, the clock ticking past midnight. The air feels thick, like it's pressing against my skin. Mom's drafts are scattered across my desk, but it's the small cassette tape I found in her old box that has my hands shaking. It's labeled Nixon Foundation, 1994, in her precise handwriting. I slide it into an ancient tape player, the click echoing in the silence. What comes next breaks everything I thought I knew about the Nixon sisters and Mom. The tape crackles, then Mom's voice fills the room, calm but tense, interviewing Harold, a foundation board member. He's in his 60s, his tone blunt, like he's tired of secrets. They're fighting over the bequest, he says. $19 million, and the sisters can't agree. Tricia wants family control. Julie wants a bigger board. It's tearing them apart. I lean closer, my breath shallow. Harold describes a 1994 meeting in Miami, a mediation to settle the dispute. Tricia, 48, was there, her voice sharp, accusing Julie of diluting their father's legacy. Julie, 46, fired back, saying Tricia was hiding behind her son to avoid responsibility. Harold says it got ugly fast. I pause the tape, my heart pounding. A lawsuit, the Nixon sisters, America's golden daughters suing each other. It's unthinkable, yet here it is, raw and real. I restart the tape, and Harold's voice grows heavier. The mediation was a disaster, he says. Tricia stormed out, saying she'd never forgive Julie for dragging their family name through court. Julie stayed, her face crumpled, whispering, "I just wanted to save him." I can picture it, the sterile conference room, the sisters' voices echoing off the walls, their bond shattering in public. My hands are cold, but I can't stop listening. Mom asks Harold about the mediator, a woman named Rebecca. He says Rebecca, in her 40s, tried to calm them, her voice steady but strained. She asked Tricia to stay to talk it out, but Tricia refused. Rebecca later told Harold she'd never seen such raw pain, two sisters who loved each other but couldn't bridge the gap. Mom's voice cuts in, asking if the sisters spoke as after. Harold hesitates. "Not that I know," he says. "The lawsuit's public now. Everyone's picking sides." I stop the tape, my chest tight. The image of Tricia walking away, Julie breaking down, it's too much. Their private pain spilled out for the world to judge feels like a violation. I think of Mom recording this, knowing it could destroy their image. Why didn't she use it? I dig through her box, desperate for answers, and find a small notebook, its pages filled with her thoughts from that year. One entry, dated after the interview, makes my blood run cold. I can't publish this. It'll ruin them. But Linda's right. I'm chasing ghosts, and it's costing me everything. Linda. Aunt Linda. Natalie's mom. The mention of her name pulls me up short. I grab my phone, my fingers clumsy, and check Natalie's last text. "Stop digging." My pulse races. Did Linda know about this tape? Is that why Natalie's so angry? I'm about to call her when my doorbell buzzes sharp and jarring. It's late, too late for visitors. I open the door, and there's Natalie, 40, her coat damp from the rain, her eyes blazing. "What are you doing, Claire?" she says, her voice low but furious. "You're dragging Mom's mess back into our lives." Natalie's words hang in the air, sharp as broken glass. I'm Claire, 32, standing in my apartment, the tape player silent but screaming with truths I can't unhear. Natalie's eyes bore into me, her anger a living thing. "You don't get it, do you?" she says, her voice rising. Mom wasn't just a journalist. She was ruthless. She dug into the Nixons' pain, and it tore our family apart. I stumble back, my legs weak, but she doesn't stop. Aunt Linda warned her Claire. She begged her to let it go, but Mom kept chasing that story. I try to speak to defend Mom, but my voice catches. Natalie steps closer, her hands clenched. "I was there," she says. "I was 16 when Mom and Linda fought at our house." Linda found Mom's notes, the ones about Tricia and Julie's feud. She screamed at her, said she was exploiting their grief for a byline. Mom didn't back down. She said the truth mattered more than family. I freeze, the words slicing through me. Truth over family. That's not the Mom I knew. Natalie's voice cracks, and for the first time, I see tears in her eyes. "Linda never forgave her," she says. "They stopped speaking, and I lost my aunt because Mom couldn't stop. I was a kid, Claire caught in their war. And now, you're doing the same thing, digging up her mess." Her words hit like a wave, drowning me. I want to argue to say I'm different, but the cassette tape glares from the desk, proof of Mom's obsession. My eyes burn, and I look at Natalie, her chest heaving. Did Mom want that? I ask, my voice barely a whisper. To expose them like that? Natalie shakes her head, her anger softening to something worse, pity. She didn't publish the tape, Claire, but she kept it. She kept digging even after Linda begged her to stop. She chose the story over us. I feel sick, my stomach churning. The Mom I loved who tucked me in with stories of her reporting days, was she that selfish? Natalie grabs her coat, her movements jerky. "I'm done," she says. "Keep your tapes and your questions, but don't call me when this blows up in your face." She walks out the door, slamming behind her. The sound echoes final like a guillotine. I'm alone, the apartment suffocating. The tape, the drafts, Mom's notebook, they're all staring at me, accusing. I think of Tricia and Julie, their private agony laid bare in court, their sisterhood shredded. And Mom, my mom, who saw it all and kept it hidden, not to protect them, but to protect herself. I press my hands to my face, my breaths shallow. Natalie's words, the sisters' feud, Mom's betrayal. It's a storm I can't escape. I want to scream, to throw the tape against the wall, but I'm too tired. Everything I believed about Mom, about family, is crumbling, and I'm standing in the wreckage with no way out. I'm Claire, 32, sitting in the wreckage of my apartment, Natalie's words still ringing in my ears. The tape player sits silent, Mom's secrets heavy in the air. I haven't slept, my eyes raw from crying, but something shifts inside me. I can't keep drowning in this pain, not the Nixon sisters, not Mom's, not mine. I need answers, not just for me, but to understand what broke us all. I book a flight to California, to the Nixon Library, to find the truth. The plane hums as I fly west, my bag stuffed with Mom's notebook and the cassette. I'm nervous, but there's a fire in my chest, a need to face this head on. In Yorba Linda, the library's sleek building looms under a clear sky. Sarah, a curator in her 30s, greets me with a warm smile. She's heard of Mom's work, even read her columns. "You're here about Tricia and Julie, right?" she asks, leading me to a quiet archive room. Sarah pulls out a box of documents, her hands careful. "These are from the early 2000s, she says. "After the lawsuit, the sisters reached a settlement." I nod, my pulse quickening. I need to know how they moved past it, how they rebuilt. Sarah hands me a folder labeled 2002 Agreement. Inside, there's a signed contract, Tricia and Julie's names side by side, agreeing to share control of the bequest. A handwritten note is clipped to it, not in Mom's writing, but someone else's, a woman named Diane. It's dated June 2002, addressed to both sisters. I read it, my breath catching. Diane, a friend of their mother, Pat writes with quiet urgency. Your father's legacy isn't worth losing each other. Your sisters, not enemies. Choose love over pride. The words hit hard like a mirror to my fight with Natalie. I imagine Tricia 56 and Julie 54 reading this in a private meeting, their faces softened by grief. Did they cry? Did they hug? Sarah says the settlement was quiet. No press, just a decision to work together again. I clutch the file, my heart racing. Diane's letter feels like a lifeline, a reminder that broken things can mend. I think of Natalie, her anger, her pain over Mom and Aunt Linda's rift. I've been passive too long, letting her shut me out. I pull out my phone, my hands steady, and open a video call. Natalie's face appears guarded, her eyes narrowing. Claire. What now? She says, her voice flat. I take a breath, my voice firm but calm. I'm at the Nixon library, I say. I found something about Tricia and Julie, how they fix things, but I need to know about Mom and Linda. What happened between them? Natalie's jaw tightens, and for a moment I think she'll hang up. But she doesn't. Why do you care so much? She asks, her tone sharp but wavering. I lean closer to the screen, my heart pounding. Because I don't want to lose you, I say. Not like Mom lost Linda. Not like the Nixon sisters almost lost each other. Natalie's silence stretches through the video call, her face a mask of doubt. I'm Claire, 32, still in the Nixon Library's archive room, the weight of Diane's letter in my lap. My words hang between us. I'm chasing us. I see Natalie's shoulders slump just a fraction, and I know I've struck something real. She exhales, her voice low. You want the truth about Mom and Linda, fine, but don't expect it to fix anything. I nod, my throat tight, and she starts talking. Her words come slow at first, like she's peeling back a scar. In 1994, when I was a kid, Mom found a box of Aunt Ellen's drafts in our attic. They were about the Nixon sisters' lawsuit, raw and unfiltered. Linda read them and lost it. She called Mom, screaming that she was profiting off the sisters' pain, turning their grief into a spectacle. Mom didn't deny it. She said the world deserved to know how Watergate broke families, not just careers. Linda hung up, and they never spoke again. I gripped the phone, my knuckles white. Mom's choice, her stubborn belief in the story, cost her sister. I see Tricia and Julie in my mind, their 2002 meeting after Diane's letter, choosing compromise over pride. They fought for each other, even after everything. I want that for us. Natalie. I say, my voice steady. I'm not Mom. I don't want a story. I want you and Linda back. She looks at me, her eyes glistening, and for the first time, I see her waver. Sarah, the curator, taps my shoulder, breaking the moment. She's holding a thin file, her expression curious. I found something else, she says, handing it to me. It's a 2002 memo from the Nixon Foundation detailing a private meeting in a D.C. office. Tricia and Julie sat across from each other. No lawyers, just them. The memo says Tricia spoke first, her voice soft, admitting she'd been afraid of losing their father's memory to public scrutiny. Julie listened, then reached for her hand, saying, "We're stronger together." They agreed to split the bequest's control, honoring Diane's plea. I clutched the file, my heart racing. That moment, their hands touching, feels like a beacon. I look back at Natalie's face on the screen, her silence now heavy with possibility. I'm coming to see you and Linda, I say. Tomorrow. I'm driving upstate. We're talking this out, all of us. Natalie's mouth opens, then closes. You're serious, she says, not a question. I nod. I've never been more serious. She doesn't agree, but she doesn't say no. The call ends, and I'm left with Sarah, who's watching me with quiet respect. "You're doing something brave," she says. I smile, but it's shaky. I'm terrified, I admit. She nods, pointing to the memo. So were they. But they showed up. I take a deep breath, the archive room's stillness wrapping around me. I think of Julie, her hand on Tricia's, and Mom, who never got that chance with Linda. I leave the library, the California sun warm on my face. In my bag, Diane's letter and the memo feel like talismans, proof that broken bonds can heal. I'm not naive. Talking to Natalie and Linda won't erase years of hurt. But I'm done running from it. I slide into my rental car, the keys cold in my hand. As I start the engine, I catch my reflection in the rearview mirror. My eyes are tired, but there's a fire in them, a quiet resolve. I'm ready to fight for my family, and I'm not turning back. I'm Claire, 32, driving through the winding roads of upstate New York. My rental car humming under a gray sky. The Nixon library feels like a lifetime ago. But Diane's letter is tucked in my bag, its words fueling me. I'm heading to my childhood home where Natalie and Aunt Linda are waiting. My call yesterday, my plea to talk, shifted something. Natalie didn't say yes, but she didn't say no. That sliver of hope keeps my hands steady on the wheel, even as my stomach churns. The house comes into view, its faded blue paint and sagging porch unchanged since I was a kid. I park my heart thudding and step out into the crisp air. Natalie's car is here, and I see her silhouette through the living room window. I knock, and she opens the door, her face unreadable. "Come in," she says, her voice flat, but not cold. Linda's in the kitchen, her back to me, stirring something on the stove. The smell of burnt coffee fills the air. I sit at the old oak table, my hands clasped tight. Linda turns 65, her eyes sharp but tired. She doesn't smile, just sets a mug in front of me, the clink loud in the silence. "You wanted to talk," she says, sitting across from me. "So talk." Her tone isn't hostile, but it's guarded, like she's braced for a fight. Natalie hovers by the counter, arms crossed, watching us. I take a breath, my voice low. "I went to the Nixon library. I found out how Tricia and Julie fixed things after their lawsuit. They chose each other, Linda. I want that for us." Linda's face doesn't change, but her fingers tighten around her mug. Natalie shifts her eyes, narrowing, but she stays quiet. I pull out the 2003 Nixon Foundation event program. Sarah emailed me a photo of Tricia and Julie on the cover, smiling at a children's reading program launch. "They worked together," I say, my voice steady. After years of fighting, they built something new. I slide the program toward Linda. I think Mom wanted that too, but she didn't know how. Linda glances at the photo, then looks away, her jaw tight. "You think you know her, Claire?" she says, her voice low. "But you didn't see what I saw." I lean forward, my pulse racing. "Then tell me," I say. "Tell me what she did to you." Linda's eyes meet mine, and for a moment I see a flicker of something pain, maybe regret. She stands, walks to a drawer, and pulls out a yellowed envelope. She drops it on the table, her hands shaking. This is what she did. I open it, my fingers clumsy. Inside is a letter from Mom, dated 1995, addressed to Linda. My heart sinks as I read. "Linda, I'm sorry," Mom wrote. "I should have listened when you said my Nixon stories hurt you. I thought I was doing right, but I was wrong. I miss you. I don't know how to fix this." The words blur my eyes, stinging. Mom knew she'd hurt Linda, but Linda never replied. I look up and Linda's watching me, her face hard, but her eyes wet. "You see," she says, her voice breaking. "She knew, Claire. She knew she chose those sisters over me, over our family. And she kept going." I swallow my throat dry. I didn't know I say my voice barely audible. Linda laughs, a short, bitter sound. Of course you didn't. She hid it from you like she hid everything. Natalie steps forward, her voice soft but firm. That's enough, Mom. Claire's here now. Let's hear her out. I freeze, caught off guard. Natalie's defending me even just a little. It's a crack in the wall between us, but Linda's pain fills the room heavy and unyielding. I want to speak to bridge the gap, but my words feel small against her hurt. The letter lies open. Mom's apology staring up at me, a wound that never healed. I'm here to fix this, but Linda's eyes tell me it might be too late, and that truth sits like ice in my chest. I'm Claire, 32, sitting at the kitchen table in my childhood home, Mom's letter to Linda like a stone between us. Natalie's words. Let's hear her out. Linger, but the air is thick with Linda's pain. Her eyes red-rimmed, avoid mine, fixed on the window where dusk is settling. I want to reach for her to say something, but my voice feels locked away. Instead, I slide the Nixon Foundation program closer. My fingers brushing the photo of Tricia and Julie, their smiles tentative but real. Linda doesn't touch it. She stands her chair, scraping the floor, and walks to the sink. Her movement slow, deliberate. You think their story fixes this? She says, her voice low, almost a whisper. You think showing me two sisters who made up erases what your mother did? I swallow my chest tight. I don't think that I say. But they lost each other, Linda. They fought like you and Mom, and they found a way back. We can too. She turns her face a map of grief. You don't know what it was like, Claire, she says. Your mother was my best friend. We shared everything until she started chasing that Nixon story. She'd call me late, ranting about Tricia's silence, Julie's speeches like they were her family, not us. I begged her to stop to see what it was doing to me to Natalie. She promised she would, but then I'd find her notes, her tapes hidden in our house. She lied to me. My breath catches sharp and cold. I glance at Natalie, who's staring at the floor, her hands clasped tight. I didn't know. I say again, but it sounds hollow. Linda's laugh is soft broken. You were her daughter, Claire. She kept you in the dark, just like she did me. I look down at the letter, Mom's apology, and see it now, not as regret, but as a plea she knew wouldn't work. She wrote it, but she didn't change. Natalie moves, sitting beside me, her presence steady but heavy. She picks up the program, her fingers tracing Tricia's face. I was at this event, she says, her voice quiet. 2003, at the Nixon Foundation. I was interning, barely 20. Tricia and Julie unveiled a reading program for kids, their voices warm, their eyes meeting like they'd found peace. I envied them. I wanted that for Mom and Linda, but it was too late. She sets the program down, her hands falling limp. I picture that moment, Tricia and Julie standing side by side, their grandchildren in the audience, a new chapter written in their shared glances. It's beautiful, but it cuts deeper now, knowing Mom's choices stole that chance from Linda. I reach for Natalie's hand, my voice barely above a whisper. I'm sorry, I say. For what Mom did, for not seeing it sooner. I'm here now. I want to make this right. Linda turns from the sink, her eyes meeting mine at last. There's no warmth, just a weary acknowledgement. Right, she says the word heavy with years of hurt. You can't undo what's done, Claire. You can try, but some things stay broken. She walks out, her footsteps fading down the hall. Natalie squeezes my hand. A fleeting gesture, then lets go. The kitchen is silent, the mug of coffee cold in front of me. I stare at the letter, the program, the empty chair where Linda sat, and feel the weight of it all settle, a quiet ache that leaves me hollow. I'm Claire, 32, walking through a park near my Manhattan apartment, the autumn leaves crunching under my boots. Natalie's beside me, her scarf loose, her steps matching mine. It's been a week since our talk at the house, since Linda's words left me hollow. The air is cool, carrying the scent of damp earth, and for the first time in months, I feel a quiet settling in my chest. I've been carrying the Nixon sisters' story, Mom's choices, and our family's fractures. But today, I'm ready to let some of it go. We find a bench by a small pond, the water still reflecting the fading light. Natalie sits pulling her knees up, and I settle beside her. We don't speak at first, just watch a pair of ducks glide across the surface. I think about Tricia and Julie, imagining them now in T5, living their quiet lives. Tricia, 79, might be in New York, clapping at her son Christopher's latest community theater show, her smile soft but genuine. Julie, 77, could be in Pennsylvania, her voice warm as she reads to her grandchildren a stack of picture books on her lap. They've found their peace. I think not perfect, but enough. I break the silence, my voice low. I've been writing about them, I say. The Nixon sisters. A blog post, something to share what I've learned. Natalie glances at me, her brow raised. Not for a scoop, I add quick, but firm. To understand them and us. I pull out my phone, showing her the draft. It's raw, weaving their journey from Watergate's shadow to their 2003 reading program, their hands clasped in shared purpose. I've woven in Mom's story too, her guilt, her silence, and how it shaped me. Natalie reads her eyes, scanning the screen, and I watch her, my pulse steady but alert. I'm not afraid of her judgment anymore. I've seen too much, felt too much to hide. She hands the phone back, her expression soft. It's good, Claire, she says. Honest. I nod, a warmth spreading through me. I want people to see what family can cost, I say, and what it can become if you fight for it. We sit in silence again, but it's different now, less heavy. I think of Mom, her face in old photos, always searching, always torn. I used to resent her for choosing the Nixon story over Linda, over us. But now I see her differently, a woman caught between truth and love, doing her best. I'm not her, but I'm her daughter, and I'm learning to carry both. Natalie shifts her voice quiet. I've been thinking about Mom too, she says. Linda, she's been softer since you came. Not fixed, but softer. She showed me an old recipe book yesterday, one she and your mom used to cook from. She cried. Claire. Didn't say why, but I think it was about her. I look at her, my throat tight. That's something I say. It's a start. The ducks drift further out, their ripples fading. I feel it, a stillness I haven't known in months. Tricia and Julie's story. Mom's choices, they've led me here to this bench, this moment. I'm not whole, not yet, but I'm closer. I slip my phone into my pocket, the blog post saved, ready to share. Natalie leans back her shoulder, brushing mine, and we watch the pond in silence, the world holding its breath with us. I'm Claire, 32, still on that park bench with Natalie the pond before us, catching the last of the day's light. The silence between us isn't empty anymore. It's soft, like a blanket we're sharing. I think about Tricia and Julie again, Not their fights or their pain, but the small moments they must have now. I picture them in 2025 exchanging letters for their father's centennial. Their words simple but heavy with years. Tricia might write about a quiet walk with Christopher Julie about her garden blooming. They've learned to hold each other lightly, and I want that too. Natalie shifts, pulling her scarf tighter. You're different, she says, her voice low. Not like before when you first called about Mom's journal. I look at her surprised. Different how, I ask. She shrugs, a half smile flickering. Calmer, I guess. Like you're not fighting the past anymore. I let her words settle, feeling their truth. She's right. I've stopped clawing at Mom's choices, at Linda's anger, at our family's cracks. I'm not fixed, but I'm not broken either. I stand stretching, and Natalie follows. We walk along the pond's edge, our steps slow, the gravel crunching softly. I think about my blog post, now live online, its words weaving the Nixon sisters' arc with my own. I didn't write it for applause, but for clarity, to make sense of the weight we all carry. My phone buzzes in my pocket, and I pull it out expecting spam. It's an email from Ellen, Mom's old editor, her name, a quiet jolt. Claire, she writes, I read your post. It's beautiful, a gift to your mother's memory. She'd be proud of how you've honored the sisters' truth, and your own. I stop walking, my breath catching. Natalie glances over curious, and I read her the email, my voice steady but thick. She nods, her eyes soft. That's something, she says. It's more than Mom ever got. I slip the phone back into my pocket, the weight of Ellen's words grounding me. Mom never saw her work praised like this, never felt the peace of telling a story without hurting anyone. I'm doing what she couldn't, and that feels like enough. We reach a small bridge over the pond, its wooden planks worn smooth. Natalie leans on the railing, looking out at the water. I'm trying, Claire, she says, almost to herself. With Mom with you, it's not easy, but I'm trying. I nod my hand, brushing hers on the railing. That's all I want, I say. We don't need to be perfect. Just here. She doesn't reply, but her fingers curl slightly, a silent agreement. I look out at the pond, the ducks gone now, the surface still. I think of Tricia and Julie's letters, their quiet love after decades of storms. I think of Mom, her flaws, her heart, and how I've learned to carry both. I'm not chasing her shadow anymore, or the Nixon sisters' pain. I'm just walking one step at a time with Natalie beside me. The sky darkens a soft blue, and I feel it, a calm that doesn't erase the past, but holds it gently, letting me breathe. I'm Claire, 32, sitting in my Manhattan apartment, the morning light spilling across my desk. It's been months since that walk with Natalie in the park, and I'm different now, quieter inside. My laptop hums as I record a voiceover for a YouTube video, my voice steady, weaving the story of Tricia and Julie Nixon. I tell of their struggles under Watergate's shadow, their bitter lawsuit, and the slow, hard-won peace they found in 2003, building a reading program together. I speak of Mom, her hunger for truth, and the cost it carried, tearing her from Linda. The microphone picks up every word, but it's the silences between them that hold me. I pause, sipping coffee, and glance at a small frame on my desk, a photo of me and Natalie from last week. We're at a diner laughing over pancakes, her eyes crinkling the way Mom's used to. It's not perfect, our bond, but it's real, stitched together by small moments like that one. I think of Tricia and Julie, their lives now simple, grounded in family, not headlines. I imagine them at a 2025 Nixon Foundation exhibit. The Nixon women, their mother Pat's portrait beside theirs, a quiet nod to their strength. I keep recording, my words flowing. I tell of my trip to the Nixon library, finding Diane's letter, and how it pushed me to face Natalie and Linda. I share Linda's pain, her voice breaking as she spoke of Mom's betrayal, and Natalie's hesitant steps toward me. I don't shy away from the hard parts, Mom's flaws, my own blindness. But I linger on the healing, the way Natalie's hand felt in mine, the way Linda's eyes softened when I said I'd stay. Outside, the city hums, but in here, it's just me and this story. I've started a routine these days, early mornings, with a notebook jotting thoughts before the world wakes. It's not grand, but it grounds me, helps me sift through the past without letting it choke me. I write about Tricia and Julie, how they taught me that family isn't about being unbroken, but about choosing to mend. I write about Mom, how I've forgiven her, not because she was right, but because she was human. I stop recording for a moment, leaning back in my chair. My apartment smells of fresh laundry, a small comfort. I think of Sarah, the Nixon library curator, who emailed me about the 2025 exhibit. She sent photos, Tricia and Julie's names etched on a plaque, their legacy, no longer just their father's. It's a small thing, but it matters. I've learned to notice the small things now, the way a cup of coffee warms my hands, the way Natalie texts me silly memes, the way I can breathe without the weight of Mom's secrets. I start recording again, my voice softer now. I talk about sitting with Natalie and Linda, not fixing everything, but starting. I describe the diner, the pancakes, the laughter that felt like a gift. I'm not the Claire who found Mom's journal desperate for answers. I'm someone new, someone who's learned to hold pain and hope in the same hands. The video's not done, but I saved the file, the cursor blinking. I'm ready to finish this story, to share it, and to let it rest. I'm Claire, 32, standing at the edge of a small cemetery in upstate New York, the grass damp under my shoes. It's early, the sky pale and wide. I've driven here alone, Mom's old Nixon article folded in my pocket, a note taped to it in my handwriting. I kneel by her grave, the stone cool against my fingers, and place the article down, my hands steady. You showed me how to find truth in pain, I wrote. I'm okay now. I love you. I stand brushing dirt from my knees and feel the quiet of this place sink into me. The journey here through Tricia and Julie's fractured bond, through Mom's choices and Linda's grief, has changed me. I see them all differently now, not as heroes or villains, but as people flawed and trying. Tricia and Julie rebuilt their sisterhood not with grand gestures, but with small choices. A shared project, a moment of trust. Mom couldn't bridge her gap with Linda, but she left me her story, her mistakes, and in them, I found my own way. I walk back to my car, the gravel crunching softly, and think about what I've learned. It's not about fixing everything or being whole. It's about showing up even when it hurts and choosing to stay. I've learned to forgive not just Mom, but myself for the years I spent angry, lost in her shadow. I've learned that pain doesn't define us. It's the slow, quiet work of rebuilding that does. We're all carrying something, a family secret, a wound, a choice we regret. But we can choose to carry it with grace, to let it teach us how to love better. I think of Natalie, how we're planning a weekend together, just us, to sort through old photos, maybe cook from Linda's recipe book. It's small, but it's a start. I think of Linda, who called me yesterday, her voice hesitant but warm, asking if I'd visit soon. These moments, fragile and real, are my own reading program, my own exhibit built from the ashes of what was. I'm not chasing truth anymore, not like Mom did. I'm living it one day at a time. As I drive away, the cemetery fading in my rear view, I feel lighter, not because the pain is gone, but because I've learned to hold it differently. Tricia and Julie showed me that. Mom showed me that, and I'm showing myself every morning when I write, every time I call Natalie, every time I choose to keep going. What stories are you carrying, the ones that shaped you, broke you, or made you new? I'd love to hear them in the comments, to know what keeps you moving forward. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe, Share it with someone who might need it. Thank you for listening, for being here with me. May you find your own quiet strength, your own way to heal.